Yokoso! Welcome back to PJL's A to Z of Japan. Today, we cycle back to the beginning of the alphabet with A, and today's A is for anime. At the risk of sounding like a presumptive windbag, well, more than usual anyway, anime is one of those things that clearly delineates generations in the West. With very few exceptions, basically everyone under the age of 35 to perhaps 40 knows what anime is, but if you mention anime to anyone over that age, it will only result in a bewildered look followed by a bark to fetch the pie cap and cane, or whatever it is that old people do. Well, that's true of the West, but in Japan, everyone knows what anime is. From the kids still being potty trained to the crazy old cat lady who lives next door with as many cats as she does years to her age. This is down to two things. Number one, sheer ubiquity. I mean, anime and the associated style is everywhere. And two, it's just been around for much longer. The first anime began to appear in the 1910s with the classic anime style you are familiar with taking hold from the 1960s, when Atom, known to us as Astro Boy, exploded onto the scene. Think about that. That progression of anime mirrors Western-style animation, especially the history of Disney, remarkably closely. Now that's no coincidence. Osamu Tezuka, the creator of Atom, made no secret of his inspiration from Disney, of the exaggerated features from the American cartoons at the time. Of course, he took it to the next level. Those big, expressive eyes, bold lines, and sense of space, all present in Western animation at the time, were all adopted, Japanified, spin-washed, and leveled up, a style that continues to this day. Because, and this is both a plus and a minus in my opinion, you can never mistake the anime style. The eyes are the most telling feature, but there are countless tropes in anime, most accessible of which are face faults, a visual shorthand to indicate a character's emotion. You have the throbbing forehead vein for anger, the sweat drop for embarrassment, spiral eyes for dizziness, and a complete face transformation into a white-eyed fang monster for all-out rage mode. The fact that so many anime use the same visual tricks, regardless of whether it's a light-hearted anime, or a more serious anime, or even an anime depicting real life, is, in my opinion, a bit of a letdown. Oh, I don't expect every anime to reinvent the wheel, but many times I find it impossible to tell one anime from another. Big colourful hair? Check. Cherry blossoms streaming down? Check. A breeze ruffling up a female skirt, sometimes revealing the... well, yeah, double check. This lack of identity, of uniqueness between one anime and another could stem from Japan's group mentality and reluctance to stand out, which is a shame because there is some fantastic anime out there with distinctive looks and feels all of their own. But even so, and now it's confession time, I'm not the biggest fan of anime. Despite my complaints, I love the look of it. I love the look of it, the energy, the boldness, but story-wise, I can't abide most anime. Most TV series start out with the best of intentions, with great ideas and concepts, but they quickly devolve into dragging out plots to breaking point, never-ending conflict with little or no resolution, and worst of all, characters just standing around, talking. That running joke of Dragon Ball Z being 2% fighting and 98% talking about fighting can be leveled at most other anime as well. Actually, sometimes you're lucky even if they are talking, because sometimes they will just stand or sit and just be silent while the camera pans left and right sideways just to give you some sense of movement. Seriously, just about 10 seconds of emptiness. Now, don't get me wrong, I get the need for silence in stories sometimes, I do, but Anime all too frequently pushes the boundary of, ooh, it's artistic, and more often than not just playing for screen time. Then again, I've noticed that a lot of TV from around the world does the same thing as well, so I can't just point the finger at Japan and anime here. But the problem seems especially chronic in Japan because anime serials tend to be adaptations of popular manga or video games, and by popular I mean still in progress. So when an anime catches up with the manga, it often has to jog on the spot and stretch out the story or make things up that deliberately go nowhere until the next issue of the manga comes out, and then they can furiously put together the next episode that progresses the story. You can really see this problem in the Naruto anime, when a generic fight scene can be stretched out for several episodes. You can pinpoint the moments when you can see it's caught up with the manga. Actually, one of my favourite anime series out there, Full Metal Alchemist, instead went down the road of splitting away from the manga and doing its own story altogether. Then, when that story finished, it started the whole series over again and then followed the manga more faithfully when the manga was finished. So it's no coincidence that both iterations of Full Metal Alchemist are some of the most accomplished anime series out there, with a definite ending and a satisfying conclusion with great pacing throughout. As for Ghibli, well, in my opinion, old Ghibli was fantastic, an eclectic studio that would throw fantasy, history, culture, slice of life and sci-fi into a big melting pot and see what rises to the top. But recently though, it's become pretty evident that it's all a one-man show. With the retirement of Hayao Miyazaki, whom the studio basically orbited around for 30 years, it's fallen silent, having failed to cultivate the younger generation of creators. But times are a-changing. The new generation of anime masters are beginning to emerge, led by Makoto Shinkai, creator of Your Name, and Mamoru Hosoda, who created Wolf Children. They display fresh ideas and new sensibilities to the anime market. The once uncertain future of anime now looks brighter than ever, and that is not just a good thing but an important thing. Anime is one of the hallmarks of modern Japan, and despite some of my own personal reservations, it deserves to be that. And that's it for today's A to Z of Japan. Thank you very much for listening. The written version of this blog is on my A to Z of Japan blog, the link of which is in the description below, along with links to my website and all of my social media as well, so please check them out. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Sayonara.